Indeed, it is a good morning, because this time next year, children all across the state will have had almost a year of regaining their lives back. Because right now they've been held captive by powerful forces, intentionally, by the companies that have designed them, particularly when it comes to the social media companies that fought long and hard to stop us in our effort last year, where we fought and won and said no longer will children in the state of New York be bombarded with addictive algorithms and all night long messaging and having their private information sold. So we said you can no longer monetize our children's mental health. But how does that information bombard them? It is in something small, it is simple, and it sits in their hand all day long. And that is their cell phone, their smartphone. And so I'm proud to be here today at NYSUT headquarters with an extraordinary champion who fought long and hard to bring us to this place as well. Shoulder to shoulder, we marched together. And Melinda Person, your leadership in this has been extraordinary. And I also want to recognize a number of elected officials we have in the room. Senator Pat Fahey, thank you, Senator, for your support in Albany. Also, our County Executive Dan McCoy has joined us. Thank you for such a strong interest in helping out our children as well. And we're going to have a great conversation with representatives from the region, our school superintendents and our union representatives. But Albany went first with starting it off for the summer school program. And we want to hear about how that's going. And I was struck when I saw a quote from one student who said, "It keeps me more locked in for all my classes. I don't have my phone. I don't have my headphones. So I just know that I can do my work and not worry about anything else." That's from a student in the state of New York. That's what every student is soon going to feel. And that's empowering. It makes me enormously proud to know that we did something that I think every other state should follow our lead and do. And what do the teachers say? Students are very receptive. They've been more engaged in their learning. That's exactly what we were going for. That's exactly what we strove for when we thought about this and wanted to make sure that every child could be free from the clutches of this addictive device, as I mentioned. I'm real excited that we have over 150 school districts already in the state of New York that have submitted their plans for implementation. We wanted to leave this to the localities, the local school districts, and superintendents, school boards. They're all due August 1st, which is why we're out here again, telling everybody who's a little behind in doing their homework, get it in on time, okay? Get it in on time. So I'm real excited about this because we've had so many stories across the state. Well over a year now I've been on this journey to talk to students, but also talk to teachers who are so frustrated that they can no longer make that connection, that human connection with the student because the student is staring at their phone all day. The superintendents, the school boards, parents, many of whom wanted to do the right thing, but it was just too hard. It's hard to make your student or your school be the ones that stand out. And there's a lot of peer pressure, even among adults. And I heard from some teachers say that they didn't want to be the bad cop teacher where they were enforcing their cell phone policies, and others were saying, it's not a big deal, let's let the students do it. So this is what we're right setting. And it's been going on for over a decade, which is mind-boggling that it took this long for people to start saying the effects are not good. Anybody wonder why we have a mental health crisis right now in the state of New York and in the entire nation? Our kids are struggling with depression, suicidal thoughts, particularly young girls who are enormously under enormous pressure from other girls who can be hard on a good day. I raised a daughter. I was a teenage girl one time, and there's a lot of pressure on what you're wearing and who you're dating and who looked at who and who's, there's a lot of pressure. And to have that hit you all day long when you're supposed to be learning makes it impossible to get the full education that we set you to school to receive. And so I'm convinced that we're going to have students emerge as more highly functioning adults. They'll be used to eye contact, something that we've lost art of looking at each other's faces when you communicate. They'll be able to work in groups in a collaborative way. They'll have in-person friendships. One student told me, it's my first time I've had a friend in person. She was in middle school. All her other friends were virtual. in the virtual world. She says, I never had a friend in person until we took away the cell phones. The halls will be noisy again. Not always laughter, sometimes yelling, but at least they'll be communicating. The halls and in recess and in lunches. I mean, lunch is when you're supposed to be making friendships, and they're not doing that. So as I said, I cannot say how overjoyed I am that we've reached this point in our state where we stood up for our students and we said, we have to save them, we have to help them out. And I'll close with this one reflection from another student who said, or one teacher, she says, she was the drama teacher in the school. She says, kids weren't trying out for drama and theater and musical productions because they're afraid of other students videoing them, posting it, and mocking them out. She says the number of students trying out for theater in their school plummeted. Think about that. Think about that. It's all going to change starting this September. And that's what we're here to talk about. Linda Person, tell us how you got here.
Well, thank you, Governor. I am so honored to be a part of this effort with you. We're about to take a very bold and thoughtful step forward as a state, and you really are leading the nation in this work, so thank you. And I want to remind people that while we're talking about this as a state law, state policy, it really did come from the ground up. We had educators who were reaching out and saying, I want to teach in an environment where my students can focus, that they can actually listen when I speak and pay attention to the lessons that I've so carefully prepared. We heard from parents who said, I want my child to learn without the constant pressure of social media and the notifications of what's going on Snapchat and meet me by the bathroom for God knows what. We heard from school leaders who saw how phones were impacting school culture and climate, and were saying this is something that we really need to address. And also from students who said, we need some boundaries here. Please help us help ourselves. Give us some structure, because the students, while there may be some growing pains as we go through this with students, I truly believe once they experience school without phones and are on the other side, that they will be so grateful for all of this work. And so what has been happening since the law has passed has been nothing short of remarkable. I have seen school districts come together to get community input, to engage with parents and educators and school leadership, school boards. They are surveying, having public forums, talking through the challenges. You know, what are we going to do about this particular instance in our school, right? And that is really where I've seen the magic of collaboration happen, and it's happening in every corner of the state. And so I would say these are not cookie cutter solutions. Every district is going to look a little bit different, and that is the beauty of local control that was built into this legislation. And so the policies are due August 1st. As you mentioned, over 150 have already submitted, and others are in the process or finalizing the last details. But I'm really want to emphasize that for those listening out there, that this is not about banning technology or banning connection. This is really about restoring the human connection that has been lost over the last decade or so as phones have increasingly gotten into our students' hands more and more hours of the day. We're going to restore academic connection. I truly believe this is going to make a difference in our ability to teach and our students' ability to learn. Last but not least, I again want to thank you, Governor Hochul, for championing this effort and for trusting educators and community to design these policies and implement them with fidelity. So I can't say enough about how excited I am to see what this school year brings.
Thank you. You had a kick. Summer going so far?
It's going fast.
If you're in I can imagine in educators, everyone in the education system thinking the summer is going too fast, right?
Well, I looked up and I was like, wait, where did July go?
Yeah. Halfway through July. Not more than half, so yeah.
More than half now, yeah.
Yeah. It's never long enough.
How you doing, Joe? Good to see you.
right, test, 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 testing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You got it, Jimmy? 7, 8, good. A little more. I want to make sure.
That's gonna be the level it rides.
That's good.
You good?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay.
I'd say leave it open, but they're streaming our audio, so.
5, 5, 6, 7, 8. Cool. Microphone's working. That'd be fun. Ask Gio. I have both of mine in my pocket. Just need me to do mic check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 4, 5, 6, 7. Cool. You're welcome.
Good morning. As you heard me say, this is a very good morning as we enter a whole new era of education in the state of New York. Distraction-free. That's what we fought for, that we successfully secured, and as a result, millions of children across the state of New York will emerge more happier, more well-adjusted, and more educated because we are taking the lead in ensuring that cell phones are not in their hands all throughout the day as they are right now, and our children will finally have a chance to be children again. So we're declaring the end of phone FOMO here in the state of New York because you won't know what you're missing out on, but everybody else is missing out as well, so it doesn't really matter. So I want to introduce also Melinda Person, who's been at my side as we fought hard for this to occur. It was really breaking down a lot of barriers because institutionally people are saying, why is Albany telling us what to do in our school district? A lot of parents were concerned, and certainly we heard from a lot of young people as well. But what I've learned in this conversation with school superintendents from around the region, one of which has already implemented through the summer school, the Albany School District, that the children who are the most resistant, the teenagers, are now the greatest champions because they see in themselves a different person. They know it's a different social environment that we've now created from what had been there previously. So I'm really proud of that, and if you have any questions on that, we'll take those first.
On topics, guys? Yeah, go ahead, Bob.
Governor, I was going through the city's policy or its draft policy, what it intends for the have to vote on, I believe, August 1st or next week sometime. In there's no update or changes to emergency notification procedures, that sort of deal. I can understand how that wouldn't be housed under the same policy, but do you think it's important for city schools to be updating that policy as well alongside of this, especially given the situation like happened at Brandeis last year?
No, certainly with respect to the individual policies put forth by the school districts, they're all going to be evaluated and have to be approved by the state. So I will leave it to the State Education Department and our team to evaluate that and see if there's any shortcomings along the lines that you're speaking about.
You think they should be, though, outside of whether it meets the...
Well, this is a cell phone policy. Obviously, every school should have a robust emergency policy. Any comments on that? I mean, that's, of course they should.
Yeah, I would also add, while you may not see changes directly in policies, what we're seeing in many districts across the state are things like adding additional landlines so that parents can call in and reach their children. We heard another district was increasing their ability to do translation when parents who do not speak English as their first language call into a school district. So things may not be written in the specific policy, but districts are most definitely making changes to improve access for parents to the schools.
No, they're all required to have access for parents. Landlines or some other way. Students can actually, in some school districts, email their parents, go to the office if there's an emergency. Are you talking about an emergency at home? I'm not sure. I'm not sure.
About an emergency in the school. Say there's a situation happening, a lockdown, for example. And a parent wants to know what's going on with their kid. Obviously can't reach them because their phone's away or in couch or whatever. And given what happened at Brandeis, kind of that similar situation to Brandeis last year.
Parents need to know, absolutely.
Right,
No.
right.
No, that is something that should be addressed and how there's a communication for out to parents. And I certainly a blast text to all the parents would be the most immediate, I'm sure.
Great. Any other on topics? Go ahead, Kathleen.
All the kids have Chromebooks now in school, basically. And definitely lots of kids have learned how to use those Chromebooks to communicate with each other in the same way that they are also using their cell phones for. How do you think that's going to work with
They
this?
cannot have a smart device. That includes a laptop that is not under the instruction of a teacher. There's a lot of classes where teachers will want to use a Chromebook, for example, as part of the instruction. We have technology classes. We expect that. That's not going to change. But it's then put away and not in the child's hand, the student's hand throughout the day. Is there anything else on that?
I'll just add, as a parent with 2 middle schoolers with Chromebooks at my house right now, the Chromebooks are locked down in the sense that kids cannot have access to social media apps, certain YouTube channels. They are protected with safeguards to make sure that the things that kids are are accessing on school-issued technology are protected.
Yeah, you mentioned, I think, in the other room that there are potentially some stragglers here in the last few days. Are there any specific issues that districts have come to you with in coming up with their policies and implementing them?
No, there's model policies that are out there. I was in New York City with the school chancellor just a few days ago. Did a roundtable similar to this to talk about what is happening, how they're preparing to be ready for this big day in September. I was out on Long Island. I went through one of their meetings where they signed off on their proposal just a couple days before. So I've been watching this closely, and nothing has surfaced to me as some districts saying this is impossible for us, because it's not that difficult. We gave you a model policy, and we really know that it's going to work. One thing I would add, I encourage all the parents to start having conversations with their children this summer. This is going to be like breaking an addiction. They're used to having it with them. It's part of their security blanket. And it's someone who's addicted to cigarettes. All of a sudden you take them away that day. It's hard. So we need to start working with the parents now to help develop strategies for them to wean their children before the end of summer from this. Just like as a mom, I didn't let my kids stay out till 10 o'clock on a school night, but in the summer I didn't care. But you start getting to bed earlier, little bit by little, so it's not a shock to the system. And I think parents can be doing a lot to help their kids prepare. And again, modeling good behavior at home. Put down the phone. Show your kids they're the #1 priority in your life, not that cell phone.
Great. Any last on topic?
It's education related.
On topic, education related?
I mean, everything can be on topic the way I phrased the question.
Do you want to wait for on topic?
So, Governor,
Is this more of an off topic then? Well, is it on cell phone ban? Yes or no? Okay. It's off topic. All right. All right. Thank you.
So you and I both attended New York's fabulous public schools in the last century, and I assume you got a Regents diploma, like I did, sitting, taking all those exams in the hot, sweaty gym, right?
Someone stole the Regents exam for chemistry. I never had to take the chemistry Regents. Just want to say that.
That's great. That was my worst one, I believe. But should kids still have to take those exams to get a Regents diploma? Because I remember when I went to college, it was a marker. It's like, this is a clear standard as opposed to the local diplomas.
I always want to make sure that New York's education system is known for its excellence, not to have a system where people just get by and they get out. And I'm going to continue working within the, unfortunately, limitations of my power. Because as you know, the state of New York, the governor's office does not determine education policy. I often read about what has been decided in the newspaper, thanks to the excellent reporting of all of you. And that's a source of frustration for me, to be honest with you. There have been areas where I've been able to identify problems. For example, for 20 years, our schools in New York were teaching phonics the wrong way, based on, I think it was a Columbia University professor had a policy that was widely adopted as the new way to do it, let the kids figure it out, while teachers knew it was not the right way. And we lost a generation because of that, making it harder for them to learn. And so once I became aware of this, I changed it. And now the state of New York, the teachers are happy, parents are happy, kids will be smarter, have a different policy when it comes, because I said, we're no longer going to base our system on outdated information. I only highlight that as an example, as well as this one. Certainly, a cell phone ban could have come from state education department, but there was resistance to this, whereas then I have to step up and lead and say, I'm putting our kids first, and this is how it's going to be. So someday, some governor may have different authority to be able to make those decisions. I wish it happened while I was still governor. Maybe it will, maybe it won't. But that's something I don't think is appropriate, that I don't have the say over those policies. I've said this before.
But when you've got now 2 grandchildren, congratulations. Tests, standardized tests for a clear standard?
I would hope they would be challenged and have a testing system, yes.
Great. Yeah, go ahead.
Governor, has there been any further conversation or discussion with the legislative leaders about the $750 million that needs to be made up this calendar year, or this fiscal year, excuse me?
Until March 31st, yeah.
And in addition, any discussion about a special session, or do you believe that you can fill this gap under your own purview?
No, listen, we're dealing with the reality that's been thrust upon us because of Republicans in Washington who don't give a damn about the people who sent them to office. Can I be more direct? And they're literally taking health care away from needy families and children. Half of all children in the state of New York are on Medicaid for their health care, 1/3 of all New Yorkers. The tens of thousands of people who lose SNAP benefits, which is the lifeline for them to get food on the table every day and feed their families. So they did this to us. It's a huge hit to our system, and we'll adapt. We'll figure it out. We are. I actually have a sort of an internal SWAT team that I'll be announcing more about shortly, but a team of people that are going through system by system and how we can figure out ways we can manage our government despite these shortfalls. And so I don't rule anything out with respect to what we'll do in the future. The conversations have been strong and important between the leaders and my team about how we'll manage this. I have enormous confidence in Blake Washington, who will help us resolve this, and we will have to comply with this by March 31st.
Is this SWAT team going to be like the division of budget, or is it going to be like interdepartmental?
I will have a lot of people involved in this. This has to be a whole of government approach, and I'm looking at new ways, and we have been. I actually, before these cuts, created an office related to efficiencies and finding savings in government prior to all this happening. So I'm just going to be ramping that up even more so with this new challenge that lies before us.
Great. We have time for one more off topic. Good. All right. Thanks.
All right. Thank you, everybody. Have a great day.
Send the rebate checks, ma'am?
I will note that I had first requested a $3 billion rebate check to go out, seeing the headwinds after the November election, but not quite sure how it would manifest itself. We cut that by $1 billion. And I will say this, at a time when not only are prices going up because of inflation, but now because of tariffs, and parents will pay 42% more for their children's sneakers when they're buying them for September because of tariffs. I think now more than ever, families across New York will appreciate what I did in standing up for them and putting money back in their pockets. So yes, they're going out.